Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the next video in learning Arabic letters. And in this video, I'm going to show you different shapes of the alphabets when they appear inside a word. And before I show you that, I'm going to give you two fun facts. One is that in English, if you write English, then you know that the uppercase letters and lowercase letters, they retain their shape no matter how you construct a sentence. So let's say you want to write apple in uppercase, it will be like this. Notice this P, and P is maintaining its shape. A has a fixed shape like this, and it will not change its shape if you are writing the entire sentence in uppercase. If you are writing something in lowercase, then again the lowercase letter shapes would be used, and they would retain their shapes throughout the sentence and throughout the text, as I've shown you here. Even if you use joining handwriting, it will still may retain its shape, whether you write it individually as here, or you write it in joining handwriting. It's going to be retain the letters, the alphabets are going to retain their shape. That's one fun fact, and that's actually an important fact. The second fact is, in Arabic you will find a concept called mini sentences, which is not there in English, but it is there in Norwegian, it's also there in German, it's also there in Swedish and the Scandinavian languages. So in English, if you want to say a handy man, which stands for a person who carries some tools around, or who's very handy, who can fix almost everything, like I am. So a handy man. So you'll write a handy man in English with three words separated by spaces. But in Norwegian, it would be just like handy man. It's one word without a space in it. The same concept is in Arabic. For example, there's a word lillahi, alhamdu. Alhamd is the praise, so it's not separated by a space. Lillahi is for Allah. Namutu, we give them death. Death, that's the th, that's the tha at the end. Death. Ya'lamuna, they do something. Ya'maluna, they know something. No, sorry. Ya'lamuna, they know something. Ya'maluna, they do something. So it's three words in one word in a mini sentence. So that's why Quran is considered a very concise language, because one word would be actually a sentence. So it's a combination of sentences in one revelation, which you call one verse. So it's a very jami', it's very concise. All right. So I'll give you each letter of Arabic language, and as we know that we write from right to left, and I'll show you different shapes a letter can have in the beginning of the word, in the middle of the word, or at the end of the word. And I start with Alif, and I'll give you examples of each. So first of all, I need to get rid of this arrow here, because it's going to make a bit of a mess. I can rewrite this middle here. And just for ease of understanding, I'm going to move this a little bit farther away, like so I can use some examples. So each word I will show you excuse me, oops, horrible. Okay, so start, middle and end, going in this direction. All right. Alif, can appear as a standing alif, just like a line in the beginning of a word, and if it's in the end of the word, it would look like this, but it would be joined to something behind it. Alif is never joined in the beginning. It can be joined in the middle like this, and that's a rare occasion. This is lam alif. So in the middle, this lam alif is actually not the shape. It's this shape here. That's alif. As in, I will say, and these are the examples now. Alif in the beginning would look something like this. Alhamdu. So you see this alif here is in the beginning, it's standing alone. It's a standalone alif. And this is lam here, which we will cover later. Here there is an example. I'll say lam alif. So lam and alif. So this is how it would look like. Some people would there's an argument that in lam alif, this is actually lam and alif is actually this one. But it depends on different teachings. So lam alif will always look like this, and you will always identify it as lam alif. There is no other combination possible. In the end, what would be example in the end? So let's say there is a word ba. So ba would start with the ba, but would have an alif at the end. So this alif here, I would cut it off with a small line. This is your alif here, connected with the ba. And this ba is not the full ba. It's not that. I'll come to that later. That's actually the next example. So the next letter we have is ba. Wait, sorry. Where is black? So the next letter is ba. It's supposed to be rounded. Sometimes I make it sharp corners. So ba. Ba can in the beginning, if it's in the beginning of the word, so this is the standalone actually. I must highlight that all these shapes are the standalone shapes here. If it's in the beginning of the word, it would look something like this, just like this. If it's in the middle of some word, it would look something like this. Let me rewrite that. This, so this would look like this, and if it's in the end of the word, then it would again look like this. The example is, or examples are, let's say ba is an example. So ba. Here it's, let me write it more clearly. Ba. You see? Oh, come on. Yes. Okay. It's very difficult to write with this digital pen. My writing is not that horrible on paper. Okay, so this is ba, and it's in the beginning, so I'll cut off the ba here. This is ba. We go back to another example in the beginning. So let me write tabbat. So in the beginning there is some word, some letter. In the middle there is ba, as you can recognize from here. So if I am going to cut it off to help you identify, it's going to be here and here. That's the ba. Actually it's supposed to be here. So here and here, like this, ba. And then comes the end part. So the end part would be something like hub. So you see the ha is connected with ba, and ba is at the end of the word. So it would look like that. If I'm going to cut it off, so of course it's going to be like this. So that was ba. Let's cover ta. So the standalone version of ta, come on. Standalone version of ta would look like this. That's the actual alphabet, right? When it appears in the beginning of any word, it would look like this, just like ba, but the ta, the dots of the ta would be here. If it's going to appear in the middle of the word, then it's just like ba, it's also going to be like this, but the dots would show what this thing is, and this is a ta. And if it's appearing in the end of the word, like tabbat, so then it would look like this, just like a standalone ta, almost like that. So let me give you examples. So let me write a simple example. Tad, let's say tad. So let's say it doesn't mean anything, but this is, let me write that again. So this is ta started, and then it went to make a dal. So you see, this part is tad, of tad is ta. I will cut it off in one go, all three letters. And then is hatab. Let me write that. It's not a word probably, but so you see this ta here in the middle. Do you see the resemblance? And then I'm going to use the word tabbat. So this here is ta, this here is ta, and this here is the ending ta. Very good. And then comes tha. Let's do tha. It has the exact same formula. So now you probably get it, that the letters which have the same shape, they appear in the same way in the words. So tha will also appear as just like this in the beginning of the word. If it's in the middle of the word, it would look like this. And if it's in the end of the word, it will look like this. By the way, ta has a special case. I forgot to mention that. Sometimes when ta is at the end and is also standing alone, it's only in the case of the end. So I'll write a slash and I'll say ta marbuta. It may appear like this as well. And the example would be, or it can even be, it can even look like like this. Yes, that is what I forgot to mention. So tabbat, that's one example. So another example would be, let me find a good example very quickly with the ta. Yeah, hujjat. So mutahhara. So if I write mutahhara, this is the ta at the end. And the example of the last ta is, let's say, fizza, fa, dod, ta, fa, dod, ta, sorry, ta. So this is also something which you need to remember. Ta is a very special case. All right, so tha, we were covering tha. These are the shapes, and the examples would be, let's say, thabbit, that's in the beginning, and I can write, let's say, in the middle would be something like this. It is not a word, but it's just a combination. I'm just using it as an example. And then the would be like, for example, like so. So the in the beginning would look something like this. The in the middle would look something like this. The at the end would look something, would look something like this. The. Okay, next we go to Jim, Ha and Kha, and by now you probably have figured out that the same type of letters will have same start, middle and end. So let's write Jim, which is the standalone shape, Jim as in J, and the start would be something like this. This is the start shape. In the middle, it could be something like this, and in the end, if it's appearing in the end, it would look like this again in the end, the full standalone, just like tha and ta and ba. The examples would be Jim, tha and ta. All right, and then in the middle would be, let's say there's a word called barnamij, but I'll just write namij, just for the sake of saving space and not making it too complicated. Okay, let me write amjad actually, because then it will appear actually in the middle. And that is your Jim and Dal, amjad. And then Hajj, or taj. Let's say taj. Let me write taj. So taj is written like this. So these are examples. Now let me cut off where is what. So here it's Jim is in the beginning. You see? Here Jim is here and here. You see this slight curve, this curve here? That is beautification. It could have been like this as well. So it's up to you, and you will find different ways of writing. And here Jim is of course here. Taj, ta and Jim. Taj, taj, ta, Jim. And then we add another page, new page after. We covered Jim. Now we cover ha. Ha standalone. Just like Jim, ha is going to be like this in the beginning. Ha is going to be going to be, how was Jim like in the beginning? Yes, exactly, almost the same. Tahti. Depending on different shapes, the middle can be a little bit of very slight variation, even for Jim, all these three shapes. So let me just write something like this, and at the end of the word it would again appear as a standalone roughly, and I'll show you how. So let's say this is the word Hamid, a name of a very good friend of mine. Hamid. And then I will write the word Taht. Tahtiha al-anhar. Taht. And then I'll write another word for the ending called Nah. Let's say Noon and Ha. Or Ta or Ha. Ta and Ha, sorry. So here, let's cut these off where we can identify them. So here is your Ha in the beginning. Here is your Ha in the middle. Here is your Ha connected to another letter but still ending in the end, appearing as full standalone letter. And the same goes for Kha, so which I have to cover, of course. So let me write the standalone version. Kha. The same goes for the starting. Kha. In the middle is the same. This time Kha will have the dot here. And then let me write Noon and Kha. So Kha will have its dot here. In a standalone version, the dot appears in the middle of this line here. But if it's in the middle here, if it's in the end, then the dot may appear a bit towards the side to make it different from this Noon. Otherwise, if this dot is close by, then this would look like a ta, and like this it would be ta and ha, which is incorrect. So this dot needs to be away from this dot, or whatever this letter is. It could be a ta, it could be a tha, it could be a ba, It could, excuse me, it could be anything. So the dot, this kha dot needs to be away from that dot. And the examples would be Khalid, a very good friend of mine. Khalid. Oh, what did I write here? This was actually, these two are examples. Forgive me. So, yeah, I got carried away. So this is Kha, and this would be a standalone version if it appears in the end of the word. So Kha, 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 like this, and the word examples are Khalid, Ta, Ta, Kha, and Ta, and Noon, Kha. And if you cut them off to identify, I hope by this time you figured it out. Kha in the beginning, this is in the middle, and this here, this here is in the end. Then comes Dal. Where is Dal? Oh, of course, where is the marker actually? The question should be where is the pen? So Dal, like this. This is the standalone version. It will appear as standalone in the beginning of the word always. It can never appear in the middle of the word. It will always appear in the middle also as a standalone like this, and even in the end of the word it is going to appear as this. It's going to retain its shape. Sometimes it's connected and sometimes it's not. So in the beginning of the word it's always going to be separate, and I'll show you how. Let me first make some space here. Alright, so this is, let's say there's a word called dub. So you see the dal is standalone. If there's a word called bad, ba or dal, ba and dal, so then there would be ba connected with a dal. So you will identify it like this. Sometimes this dal in Quran and some way of writing, you will see it as this. This is also dal. It will appear like this. All right, and then so I said there is no middle, so actually I should move it, or maybe I'm confusing you. So let me write bida. So it technically appears in the middle of this word, but still looks like the standalone dal. Or now I'm going to use another example, which will use dal at the end of the word. Ba, alif, ba, jim, dal. So this is at the end. Now if I'm going to cut them off, you will see this dal, there's no need to cut it off, it's already separate. This dal here is ba and dal. It can never join ahead. So dal has a quality, it can never be connected with any letter here. It will always appear as a standalone. And here, this is your dal at the end of the word. So actually the same principle applies for dal. and dal. So let me write the standalone version. Dal, it will appear as dal as in the beginning. It will appear just like dal. It is going to be like this in the middle, and just like dal, it's going to be appear as a standalone in the end. Examples are dab, for example. Let's say, let me write let me write like this. This is not a word, but it's just an appearance. And at the end it would be let's write another word, just like, for the sake of example, this is actually a word, ahad. How can I miss it? Ahad means one. Allah is ahad. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Say Allah is one. Ahad. Okay. So here you see zal in the beginning, a standalone. Here you see in the middle, still standalone, because nothing can join in front of it or after it actually. And then it's here in, oh, I'm sorry, it's not ahad. I was going to say give example of dal, not dal. So akhad. Okay, so here dal is at the end, just like dal, right? Okay, then comes the examples of raw. Here's the standalone letter raw, and it will, just like dal, it will appear as standalone raw. In the middle, it doesn't have a middle again. It cannot connect to any letter ahead after it, so it will again appear as raw. And then if it's at the end of the word, it will again appear as raw. And now I will give you examples. For example, in the beginning of the word, there is the word Rabb, means the caretaker. So here the raw is in the beginning. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ra, if it's in the middle, let's say there's a word called barara or barra. Let's write barra instead of barara. And then if it's at the end of the word, ahmar. So this sharp edge may be there or may not be there, but it's the same. It has to end like this. So here is your standalone version of raw. Here is in the middle, which is not connecting to the word letter after it, and here it is at the end. Ahmar. Okay, raw. Za is the same. So maybe I should now start using shortcuts to shorten the video. So ra and let me write, and also za, not here. They have the same principle. So ra, za, seen, then comes seen. So actually seen and sheen. Now I'll shorten the video by doing this because they are the same. And you now have the idea of the principle. So it's the right time to do this shortcut. Seen and sheen. If seen is in the beginning of a word, it would appear as this. If seen is in the middle of the word, it will still appear as like this. If seen is at the end of the word, it will appear as the full seen. So examples would be subhan, sabbih, sabbih, sabbih bi ismi rabbikal a'la. Sabbih. So you've seen C, ba and ha. Sabbih. This is ba. Sorry. Here, ba. So this is seen. And then I will write ya, seen and lam, or ba, seen and lam. Ba, seen, lam. Not very pretty. Okay. Ba, seen, and lam. Okay, forgive my lam. So this is seen here. And there's a word called jins. So if we cut off seen, and same goes for sheen, so it's going to be here, sorry, a bit here, okay, here, and then is this one and this one, seen, and it's this one here, seen. Start, middle, and the end. Let me save that as shapes of alphabets, Arabic alphabets. Okay. I'm going to add another page, and I'm going to cover Sod and Zod together. So let me write Sod, and I'll also write Zod. So these are their standalone shapes. If it's in the beginning of any word, then it would be like this, like this. If it's in the middle, it could be something like so. Not very pretty. So let's say there's a continuation, and then there is a sod, and then there is another continuation. Yes, this is pretty. And if it's in the end of any word, then it would appear as a standalone, roughly standalone. It will be connected with something. So let me give you examples like subh. So Sad, Ba, Ha. So this is subh. And if it's in the middle, then let me write the sod lam. And if it's at the end, let me write bus. So you can argue that the ending is with a bit of a line, and actually that's true. So it should be a bit of a line here, continuing from somewhere. Same goes for scene. Should be a bit of continuation at the end. All right. Go back to sod and zod. So if we cut them off to identify, so this is your sod in the beginning, this is your sod in the middle, and this word was, forgive me, let's say this was just this ta and sod, and this is your sod here at the end. Very good. Then comes ta and dha. So I'll use the same trick to shorten the time needed to give these examples. Ta, ta, and dha. Alright, you can make them as beautiful as you want. So if ta is in the beginning of a letter, it would appear almost like a standalone with a little bit of extension. If it's appearing in the middle, then it would have a bit of the continuation, just like sod. And then, forgive me, and it would be like this. And if it's at the end, then it would be a bit of continuation, and just ending like this. So it's almost the same in any case, right? So examples would be like tib, or medicine. Forgive me, sometimes the line just, so this is ba, ta, and lam, not very pretty. And then this is at the end, and this is just a made up word. You see that I tend to make it a bit curvy at the end because that's the beautification part. I can't help it, because I want to make it a bit pointy like this. And that's how you make it pointy, by going straight down and then a bit like this. So then you can join and make it a bit pointy. All right. So this word, you can see this letter ta here. That's very okay. This is ta here in the beginning. Here is ta in the middle, and here is ta in the end of the word. Then comes ayn. Ayn is interesting. Ayn and ghain. And they have the same principle. Again, I'll use the same technique. I'll use ayn. Notice the ayn is the upper section is smaller and the bottom one is a big fat round circle. That's how ayn is written. It's not supposed to be like this. That's not ayn. That's the digit 4 in Arabic. Ghain. Single dot. Alright. So if it's in the beginning of any word, then it would look like something like this. Something like this. It's not Hamza because Hamza is straight. This is not straight. So this is a bit of curve. Ayn. If it's in the middle, then it has an interesting shape. Its shape is a bit different. So it goes like this, then it goes like this, and then it goes like this. This is ayn in the middle. And then if ayn is at the end, then it's going to be. Let me see if I can find a good example, because there's I think there are two ways to write ayn. At the end. Come on. This Qurani qaida is, let me find, yeah, sa. Okay, so there's a word sa. So it could look like continuation and the same, but like this, like an ayn, but like this. And I'll give you examples. So let's say abas or ayn sin or ayn ba sin. So abasa wa tawalla. Ayn ba sin. And then in the middle, let's say I write ba'd. And at the end, I'll write sa, sod, ayn, like this. So if we cut it off, notice it has a different shape when it comes in the middle and at the end. In the beginning, it's just a regular ayn, but here in the middle, it looks like this. And at the end it looks like this in the word. Same goes for ghain. Allah. Then we cover fa, and I think fa and qaf. So fa has this round start in the beginning, and qaf is also has the same way that it appears. So let me give you examples. So if fa or qaf is in the beginning, fa. If it's qaf, then of course there is one extra dot here, right? I hope you are not getting confused by me using these examples in a combined way, because ta, dha, this is ta, and of course dha would also be the same. So this is how it's supposed to be read. You just add another dot. With fa and qaf, it's also a difference of a dot. So if it's fa, you write one dot. If you qaf, you write another dot. And if it's in the middle, then you just say something like this: continuation, fa, continuation. Same goes for qaf. Just add another dot. And at the end, it's going to be for fa. Okay, actually forgive me for this. Let me just write two different examples, because fa looks different. So at the end, fa looks like this. And examples would be Fahad, so this is fa in the beginning. وَمَنْ يَفْعَلْ يَفْعَلْ, fa in the middle, and then tuf. So if we cut them off, this is fa in the beginning, this is fa in the middle, and this is fa in the end. Same goes for qaf, only that qaf has a big round fat belly. So let me write qaf here. Qaf in the beginning would look just like fa but with two dots. In the middle it would look like fa but with two dots. In the end it would look like the big round qaf, like this, because it is going to be continued with some other letter preceding it. The example would be qaf ba lam, which means qabl, means before, and anqad, anqad, qaf in the middle, and then I'll write ufaq, right. So here is qaf in the beginning, here is, oh, I forgot to put a dot here, anqad. Okay, so here is qaf in the middle, and here is qaf at the end of the word. All right. Kaf. So next page is kaf. This is going to be a long lesson, but I hope it will be useful. So then comes kaf. It's written like this. Sometimes you will see it like this. If it's in the beginning of the letter, then it can have two different forms. For example, it could have like this shape, like kariha al-kafirin. It can also be in the middle, like, let me find a good example. I just have to make up an example. So it could be like this, and there would be a symbol here, like so. This represents kaf if it's in the middle, and if it's at the end, then it could appear as like this, with connected to something, of course. Sometimes in the beginning you will also see, if it's in the beginning of a letter, it can appear as like this. Kaf and alif. Or that's going to be the shape. Sometimes going to be extended, connecting to something else. Like kalla. And then it could appear like this. Kal farash. So the kariha is also an example, and then another example in the beginning would be kal farash. You see here? Yes. And then sometimes it can appear in the middle, and let me see if I can find very quickly. And again, this could be also like this in the middle. Sometimes it's a different way of writing. If you pick up Quran from Middle East, the way of writing is different, and if you pick up Quran from Asia, like Pakistan and India, then you'll find a bit difference. So you need to understand or see both of them. So the examples would be like Mecca. Sometimes you would see like this. What am I doing? Yeah. But most of the time you're going to find this one. So to ease your, but let me just keep it there for now. And let me find an example where kaf is at the end of the word. Zuhak. There was a word, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was a zuhak, and that's the ending with the kaf. Rabbik. Let's write that. So Rabbuka or Rabbik. That's where the kaf appears as at the end. So if we identify it with different colors. So here is your first kaf here, and here is also your kaf alif. So this is your kaf, and here is your kaf in the middle, and here is your kaf like so. Then comes the next letters, which are lam. So lam is going to look like this as standalone. That's a horrible lam. Come on. Alright, this is my last attempt at lam. Lam. If it's in the beginning of the word, it would look something like this. If it's in the middle of the word, it would look something like this. Oh. If it's in the, it would be an elongated one, right? Like so. If it's at the end, then it would always have some line connecting to it, something connecting to it, and then a lam. So let me give you examples for this lam. All right. Lahum. So here lam is in the beginning, and then I will need to find, there's of course Allah or Lillah, but qalb, yes, that's a simple word. Qalb means heart. And then let's say taj'al. Taj'al. Ta, jim, ain, lam. Lam is at the end. So if I cut off lam to help you identify, here is lam, here is lam in the middle, and here is lam at the end. Then we move to mim. Okay, meme. That's a beautiful meme. Meme, if it's in the beginning, it could appear like this. So it's connecting to something. If it's in the middle, then it would be something like continuation. Sorry, it's going upwards. Continuation, meme, continuation. If it's in the end, then of course it's going to have some form of connection to it, and then it would be a simple meme at the end. That's a horrible meme. Like something like this. Examples would be mal. So here meme is in the beginning. And then there's another example, يعمل. ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره. يعمل. Anyone who does a smallest good deed as a grain of a sand will find his reward, his and her. يعمل. So this is a bit beautification, but it is, so in the example below it's almost like this, but it's the same. And then actually this meme can have two forms when it's ending. So it can also end just like something continuing, and then it's just end without going too much down. For example, it could look like this, lahum, or let's write mimma. Mimma. So this is mimma, meme and meme, and I'll explain that later. And another way to end is lahum. So if I cut off memes for you, meme, it would be meme in the beginning here, meme in the middle here, meme at the end here, meme at the end here, right? Very good. Then comes noon, waw and ha and ya. So let's write noon, and noon has the same formula as ba, but let me write that. If it's in the beginning, it would be of this form with one dot on it, and if it's in the middle, it would be like so with a dot on it. If it's in the end, then it's connecting to something, and it's just a plain noon here. Like, let me write Neel, let's say. Noon, ya, lam. Lam is always very long, right? So noon, ya, and lam. And then we have ba, noon, sin, just a made up word. Or maybe jins. Okay. Jim, noon, sin. And then jinn, just jinn as a spirit or a jinn. So if I cut off noon for you, it would look something like this. Noon in the beginning, noon in the middle, and noon at the end. Noon, and then comes waw. Waw will always appear as standalone waw in the beginning of the word, like wallah, and waw would look something like waw will never appear in the middle. It can be part of the word, so it will look like in the middle, but nothing will connect to it afterwards, but anything can connect to it before. So it could look like this in the middle, and also it will look like the same in the end. The examples would be, let's say, let's not do that. Wallah. This waw is in the beginning. Wallah means by God. And let's write yaw, Yawm. Yawm. So this meme can also appear as a standalone if it's in the end of the word, just like that, if there's nothing connecting to it. This is yawm. So I should correct meme actually for you. In the end, it could also be just meme in some cases. All right, yawm, and then let's say just write taw. So if I show you where wow is, of course it's standalone here. Here it's in the middle of the word, but there's nothing connecting to it afterwards because nothing can connect to it afterwards. Here it is, where is it, my cursor here? Here it is, end of the word, and that's it. Ha. Let's cover ha. Black. Ha. So ha can also appear as ha. So ha cannot start like let me see, let me find a good example for you. Hal ataka hadithul ghashiyah. So that ha would start from the second type of ha here. So that would look like this. And then more ha, Ahlil Kitab. Let me see if I can find. In the middle will always be something like this, something extending it, then something like this, and then extending it, and then connecting to something else. And at the end, it would be something like this. This is a very different shape. Something like this. So this could be, the examples could be hal, hal hada, for example. And then there could be another example for the middle as bihim, sometimes you will also find all right, let me not go there right now. Bihim, and then there is another, in the ending is like fi, like so. This is fa and ya, and then ha at the end. All right, so here is your ha. If I cut it off here, ha and lam. Here is ha in the middle of the word, and here is ha at the end of the word, fi. Very good. Sometimes ha, as in this writing, can appear at the end if it cannot be connected to a word. So I will write that for you. For example, there's a ending wujuhun yawma izin. So wujuh, like this. So here you will see this at the end as a standalone ha. It's quite possible that you see hal also, like in a different form, and I'll write that here. It's sometimes possible, but not always. And that is actually Urdu, so forget it. I was confused. Okay. All right. So we have covered till ha, and then we move forward. Nun, waw, ha, hamza, ya. Okay, hamza and ya. So hamza, that's interesting. Hamza. By the way, there is a very popular Muslim scholar named Hamza Yusuf, Sheikh Hamza Yusuf in America. He's very learned. He's very good. If you find time in life, listen to him. Alright, Hamza is a special character because it appears on different characters, different alphabets, and it's always going to appear going to appear as Hamza, just like this, whether it's in the beginning or the middle of the word or the end of the word. It's always going to be on top or below something. So it's always going to be appear just exactly like this, nothing less, nothing more. And let me see if I can find a good example. So here I have an example which is in the middle of the word, so I'll write it here. Al Ma'u. Yeah, something like this. So here Hamza is in the middle and it's just standing alone. And I don't remember any word starting with Hamza. I'll write one word for you, but that is just to clarify that it is not Hamza. If you see like this, and that's actually another example of the middle of Hamza. So this is not Hamza. This is Ain here, but here is Hamza. Yes, this is Hamza. Sorry, this is Hamza. And it appears as it needs a carrier, as a plate-like structure here to be carried. It can appear at the bottom as well, or even at the end. For example, at the end it could be an example like غثاءً. So if I write like this, I don't want to write these two lines for you right now. So this is Hamza at the end, right? And there's no word I know which starts from Hamza. Sometimes the alif would contain Hamza on top of it if it's in the beginning, but I don't recall. But anyhow, you will recognize Hamza because it's always going to be a standalone thing. Very good. Hamza is covered. And then we move on to the last letter, which is Ya. I did not cut off or identify Hamza for you with green color, so I'll do that here. This is Hamza, written like this. This is Hamza in the middle, and this is Hamza at the end. If it's not a full Ain, then it's Hamza. If it's just like this, it's Hamza, and it's a standalone. If it's standalone and if it is like this, then it is Hamza. If it is like this but is connected to something, then it's Ain. That's something else. Alright, let's move on to the last letter, which is Ya. And I believe you can use the same Ya. The rules are same. So Ya, if it's in the beginning of a word, it will always be like this. Ya. If it's in the middle, it's always going to be like this. Ya. If it's at the end, then there are two ways. If it's connected or if it's standalone. So if it's connected, it's going to be like this, something connecting to it, and then like this, or it could just be standalone like this, and I'll show you examples. For example, there's a word Yarahu, so Ya, Ra and Ha. So Ya is in the beginning. Here it is, I'm going to give you a word which is going to be simple. So let's say there's a word, it's a made up word, Sin, Ya, Lam. And then there is another example. Let's say the word is Wali. So it would look like this. Sorry, there is always going to be two dots at the bottom. Wali. And sometimes these dots may be missing at times, so it's not a big deal. Let's say there's a word called Ahwa. You will see this word. So there's no dots. You can see them, you may not. It depends on different way of writing. But the basic shape is going to be there. So if I cut off and show you the exact place where Ya is there, then it is here in the beginning, and here in the end, in the middle, and here in the end in one way of writing it, and here also in the end in another way of writing it. Right? It can also appear, let me just clarify, Wali, there are two ways, so you can see it without the dots as well. Like this, without the dots. So Waw, Lam and Ya. Alright, so these were the alphabets, how to write them and how their shapes would change when you are reading different letters, different words, how they will look like in the beginning, in the middle, and in the end of a word. Very good. This was a very long lesson, but this was absolutely necessary. This is normally not shown in the books. That's why it also took a bit of time, because I had to find examples. But I hope you find this useful. It's a long lesson, I know, but I hope if you've reached till this point, then you would have found it useful. I hope so. So next would be something else, of course. We'll start with joining different words. So let's see. Shukran and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.